Hiya, I'm Chelsea Blacker, and I went to a talk by Daniel Pink. He has a new book out recently. It's called When: The Scientific Secrets of Perfect Timing. And I have 7 takeaways, so I thought maybe you'd be interested, things that you could apply to your life or your business or your career. So let's start off. In short, what I learned is that we need to be more deliberate in how we schedule our time, how we schedule the time of our teams, to make sure that we can all work in the best way possible for our kind of organic chronological cycles. And essentially, it often matters just as much when we're working as what we're actually working on. So, number one thing that I learned was that people are, in general, happier and more alert in the mornings. And then after lunch, as a general rule, things take a bit of a slump and people become a little more irritable and grouchy. And then there is an emotional high in the afternoon, in the early evenings, excuse me. So, Daniel Pink really pointed out, and he was quite serious about this, that you should not go to a hospital for surgery in the afternoon. But he also pointed out that doctors give away a lot more medication in the evenings and in the later afternoons. So take that with a grain of salt, no matter what you want. Also, he showed in a study that judges that are judging prisoners for parole are more likely to give people parole in the mornings or just after lunch, after they've had a snack or a break. So yeah, if you have a business pitch or you're going for an important interview or meeting, try to either have the person have a good snack before they meet you, or do it first thing in the morning or straight after lunch, so that people are kind of satisfied and their bellies are full. My second takeaway is that Daniel Pink broke down the 2 types of internal clocks that are dominant in the world. The first he describes as Larks, which are morning people, and the second he describes as night owls, who are evening people. Who would have guessed, right? So what he said is that night owls really thrive on more late night creativity, and they struggle more with the typical daily grind. And larks are definitely, since the majority of people are larks, it is how the corporate world has been established and how most businesses run, right? In order to help night owls use their skills to the best of their ability, it's really important to give them as much notice as possible, maybe about like a morning meeting that they're going to need to be an active participant in, so that they can use their creativity and their skills in the evening to really think about how they can prepare for that upcoming event, if that makes sense. Step 3, or takeaway 3, I guess, that I learned was about how when you do decide to do different tasks, is super important, because there are 3 kind of sections to your day. There's the peak, there's the trough, and there's the recovery. Peak, trough, and recovery. So peaks are generally in the morning time for larks, at least, and so that is when you should be doing difficult analytical tasks, anything where you really need to be on the ball, maybe pulling together insights or doing the tough work, essentially. Troughs typically happen around lunchtime or in the afternoon, and that's when you should be doing more administrative tasks, more the stuff you have to do every day that doesn't take that much brain power. And then recovery is typically in the later afternoon for most people, and that's the time when people's brains are a bit more lucid and kind of creative, and it's a great time for completing tasks where there's not a clear answer, yes or no, where the task is a bit more murky, takes a bit more free-flowing thoughts to come up with a solution. So in my company's case, I would try my best to have people scheduling brainstorms probably later on in the day before people go home around 5. Item 4 of what I learned from the talk was that breaks are really important to top performance. I love a good break personally. And every day at 12 noon, you can find me leaving my office to take my dog to the park and to kind of like embrace and escape the office, which is really important for people to be happy and well rested when they're back in the office. So even if you can't do something as dramatic as taking a dog for a walk at lunch, which I realize is pretty extreme for a typical working day, even getting up just to make a cup of tea, getting away from your computer, doing a few like blinks of the eye and looking at something else, moving your hands. It's really good to take those breaks. So I thought that was quite cool. The ultimate break criteria, if you will, is, let's see, so that you are moving, so walking, jogging, maybe you have a company rowing machine, I have no idea, but moving. The second is that you do it with a friend or colleague who you actually would like it to be with and hang out with. So it has to be voluntary. If you're a manager, you can't like go matching people up to go take official breaks. That's not how it works. To go outside, actually like touch a tree, sniff the grass, just like enjoy being outside in the fresh air. And fully detaching from work. So actually really discussing, a television show you saw the night before, or a documentary, or a book you're reading. Don't talk about work. Really divide your time, like get away from the work. You don't want to be near it. And ideally without a phone, right? Because a phone is a distraction that will take you away from the break you're taking where you're, focusing on a friend and having a good chat. So you don't want to break up that good opportunity. And the next takeaway was about naps. I love a good nap. Don't know about you, but I have a bit of an issue with taking long naps. So I tried to follow Daniel Pink's recommended 10 to 20 minute nap. What he says is to put on your timer for 25 minutes so you can use the first 5 minutes to fall asleep, get some little, the little like, what do you call them? Eye blinder things. Some noise canceling headphones. It's an attractive look. Don't forget that. And what else should you do? Oh, ideally, if you really want to like ramp up the power of the nap, take an espresso right before you put on your timer and like turn on your noise canceling headphones, because ideally that caffeine will be kicking in while you're napping. So when you wake up, you'll be like, boom, I'm here. I'm ready for something. So yeah, I tried taking a 20-minute nap yesterday and it worked, and I was more alert throughout the evening. I was able to get a few more tasks done. However, I really wanted to just keep napping. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world. The sixth takeaway is about celebrating endings. So at the end of an event, you need to celebrate it. This is something I am terrible at doing in our own company, specifically because when you're done with one thing, there's a new mountain to climb. There's always a higher peak. There's always more turnover, more, there's just always something bigger to keep going for, right? But it's important to use these endings to either, a month or a financial year or whatever. It's important to use these as opportunities. Daniel Pink called them meaning markers. And I thought that was a really cool phrase. So kind of like celebrating the end of something and giving it a meaning. I'm currently reading a book about Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. And long story short, Steve Jobs, he wasn't ideal, but he was really freaking good at celebrating when like a computer he'd been working on, like I think it was, I'm not going to say it because I might be wrong, but when he was done with a computer building something new, he would then celebrate it and kind of do like a little like pretend baptism of the computer or the developers and designers that worked on it. And he would also like give out the computers with like their people's names inscribed. So he made a big deal about it. So it's a bigger deal in people's heads. So yeah, I thought that concept of meaning makers was a really good one and something that I need to slow down a little bit and celebrate a bit more within my own team and company. Number 7 is about protecting my team's time. I'm reading a book right now called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits by Vern Harnish. And the part that I'm in really focuses on how companies that are on an upwards trajectory really have a great rhythm, and they've got kind of set processes and things that happen constantly, and everyone kind of knows what to expect and what's coming in terms of the cycle of the business. Maybe, upcoming meetings or memos that are going to be going around. And I think that actually that really relates well to Daniel Pink's talk about making sure that my company is going through a cycle that feels natural and works for the vast majority of people that are there from, a chronological perspective. So at Blue Glass, for instance, we start every morning and we get at 9:15, we have scrums. Every morning at 9:15, you will hear the same song play, and it means everyone gets up and goes to their scrum. And I think we have some good rhythms going on, and that's something I really want to encourage and keep going with. But we don't have a song for the end of the workday, even though there's practically no one in our office at 5:30. But I want to get a song going, maybe on my little echo for the end of the workday, something to march everyone out so that they know it's okay, end of the day, let's get going, let's get home. So yeah, that concept of as a manager and business owner, protecting my team's time, we don't even do any client communications in the mornings because that's our time to focus on our craft. That is not our time to be chatty with clients or to answer tiny questions that are actually taking away from the larger deliverables that are actually going to make sure that our clients have kick-ass results, or kick-butt results, excuse me. So yeah, that's it. Long story short, those are the things I took away from Daniel Pink's talk. If you have any questions, pop it either in the comments below or tweet me at Chelsea Blacker. Or yeah, that's it really. This is also, I wrote a blog post, so I'll put a link to the blog post in the comments. And that's it. So thanks for watching. And I hope that this is, in some way helpful for your life if anyone even watches it. Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye.